Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we have Stonevault 12 on Mythic as a Master of Harmony monk. And the route that I took is pretty basic. Just a couple of notes here and there to make the run a little bit easier and a couple of tips and tricks that I'll explain during the run. I also changed some of my gear. I'm using Empowering Crystal of Anubikaj instead of Molten Furnace. And I'm continuing to use Cersei's Circlet, but this time I used a two-hander. As you can see from the gems that I have, they're all stat boosters, but mainly the Fathom Dwellers, which grants mastery. Depends on my mastery to kind of boost all of my other stats. If you saw in the previous one, I had somewhere around 9% mastery. In this one, I have closer to 15. I think I get somewhere close to 16% during the run. But all of this helps the Fathom Dweller's Rune Citron. As you can see here, those are my stats with my crit, strike flask, and the druid buffs. So 24% versatility and 31% crit strike and 16% mastery. As you can see there on the lower part of my UI. So for this, I gather all of them and I stand a little bit close to this pillar here, just because if I have to drop a Ring of Peace, I can do it. I use my Fortified Brew early just so that I can stagger a lot of damage. What definitely helps here is that we all were doing really good DPS. Sadly, there I had my meter set to healing done, but the DPS was great and we managed to get all of this done. As soon as I see that we're down to a couple of mobs, I decided to pull the next pack. You can pull them behind this door just so that you can LOS the casters and they pull into you a lot easier. Also, the frontal won't be a danger to anyone, it won't cleave anyone. Here I see that the load bots are about to jump on someone. So I'm trying to set my Ring of Peace so that I can knock them and prevent them from hitting anyone. That's usually something that kills people besides the casters casting on them. But as you can see, I'm constantly trying to chain pull everything. This dungeon can be really rough on Brewmasters just because we can take a lot of damage immediately. I think I did this dungeon about 8 times on the 12 before I finally timed it. Most of those times I did them with a shaman, so kind of surprised me that the Resto Druid definitely came through with this one. Here I'm chi bursting just to pull this pack. Double golems, or golem, sorry. I'm just trying to position them so that the DPS can stand in the healing circle while they avoid getting cleaved by the frontal. So it definitely helps there. You can see that the druid is doing a lot of healing as well. I'm also keeping myself up there. I've been doing a lot of healing as well on the side. Been healing 10s and I can definitely see why it's hard for healers on these mythics. So E.D.N.A is, I want to say it's pretty straightforward and also not that hard. So here are the volatile spikes. Normally the healers tell people how many spikes to destroy, and you kind of want to kite them around in the circle around this little, what's this, pentagon. So you want to kite it around, sorry, it might be a hexagon. That's a pentagon, hexagon. So you want to kite it around and have the beams kind of destroy the spikes. So as you can see there, we only destroyed 1. So that means that here we either destroyed 3 or we destroyed 2. Well, the healer decided to destroy 2, and here we take 3. 3 shatters. But we're doing okay. Everybody's fine. The healer's topping everyone off. And here we go again. So I always try to position the boss in the way that the beams can only hit what they need to hit. They don't hit anything more. Now, you saw the warning there, seismic reverberation on Penelope. So what that means, it's a magic debuff that gets applied to me. As soon as the healer dispels it, you get a 50% damage reduction buff on you. So the healer usually removes it before the seismic smash, just so that I don't get one shot, which I kind of had a problem with in a few runs with other healers. They didn't understand that mechanic, and I had to try to diffuse magic the debuff off to try to get that damage reduction. But with diffuse magic being on such a long cooldown, it definitely wasn't viable. But as you can see here, he dispels it, and then I get the 50% damage reduction buff. And this applies every time he hits me after the beams. As you can see, it's a dot, so I'm taking damage over time.
Defensive.
I got a little bit worried here because the healer was really low and everybody was kind of low as well. And here everybody took mass AoE, so I started to just toss out some heals just to help them out. But as you can see, the DPS is doing pretty good. It was just the healer that I was a little bit worried about.
Laser on you. Run. Defensive.
So there's a lot of these little things that kind of help out in this run. There, I just executed it just because. I decided to wait for the healer to drink.
Looks like the main door is locked. Either one of these paths should lead us to an access console.
If you look at my timer on the right, we're ahead by 2 minutes and 26 seconds. So that's already a huge lead. That just means that we have a lot of good DPS. So here in the Despoiler, I use diffuse magic to help with that hit, and also with the AoE that he does right away. So it's, again, one less thing that the healer has to worry about and can focus on healing the rest of the group.
Defensive.
Here I'm trying to group these together with the next pack, but I see that the other elemental pack is coming, and I kind of don't want to risk it just because it's a lot of magic damage, and they're not all really targeting me. They'll randomly just cast on my teammates, so I don't want to pull this together and then just end up wiping us. So famous last words, huh? As you'll see right now. Here I'm chi bursting them back just because I know that I can do that. I pull this invader, but then this speaker runs into the group, and I almost lose aggro on that. It's a little bit scary because everybody can just get one shot here apparently. So here, this would be a pretty good pull. As you can see, we have 5 casters, and we have to watch for the AoE. Normally you want to interrupt the piercing veil, or piercing whale, sorry, just because it's a lot of damage on you as a tank. If you see the DPS is really good. The warrior was doing a fairly good amount of damage there. So at this point, I'm fairly confident that we have the damage to time this. So the only thing that I feel like could mess us up is if we just have like a crazy wipe. Like, we just wipe pretty badly and can't recover from it, we're pretty much done. As you can see, we're 2 minutes and 26 seconds ahead, so I'm confident that we're going to be able to pull this out. So I'm keeping an eye out through the doorway just for the next Despoiler. When he's not with the pack, I'll pull him. But I do not recommend doing that because, as you'll see right now, it was stupid of me to do. This is the first AoE, and the healer is trying, but then the next AoE happens and it just kills everyone. So that definitely was my fault. I was really stupid for that. I shouldn't have done that. we should have just waited to kill the first Despoiler and then pull the next one. So if you do this, don't do what I do. Just kill one Despoiler and then pull the next one with another pack of mobs there, or by itself. If you're ahead by this much, you'll be fine. Here, this could have gone bad because I could have potentially killed the rogue here and the healer with that AoE outburst again. But the healer was paying attention to it and he managed to make sure that we were both up. But that could have potentially ended our run there if we weren't able to recover. If the rogue and the healer would have died there again, that pretty much would have been it. Everybody would have not wanted to continue. So just learn from this mistake. I know I did. I usually normally pull one at a time. I don't know why I was so in a rush to pull both of them together. It's kind of dumb.
A golem fused with scarred and corruption? Fascinating.
I'm just trying to stack these up, but always got to be careful with the swirlies, of course.
Watch your step.
This pack isn't really too troublesome, just because it's mainly a lot of single target damage that they do.
Watch your step.
So that's why I mean by like pull the Despoiler with one of these packs instead of pulling it together with another Despoiler, because that's dumb. That's very reckless.
Watch your step.
Here I'm just knocking them around with my Ring of Peace so that they don't cast while everybody kind of gets their stuff together.
Watch your step. Interact.
I was kind of worried by this point because I knew I kind of messed up our lead. We had 4 deaths at 15 each. That's a minute. So we were still a minute and 26 ahead, but that's kind of nothing if you think about it. So if we take too long here, that means that our lead was just completely blown and it would have been very close.
Target change.
So for this boss, you don't want to kill too many of these shards together because it's a lot of AoE damage. I'm pretty sure there they killed one of the shards and then
Defensive.
the druid took a lot of AoE damage as well.
Target
Apart from the
change.
fact that you can collect those and you deal more damage to Skarmorak's shell, but destroying the shards also is a lot of damage that you take. As you see there, I took 2 just to help out. Normally you would want to let the DPS take the majority of them just because they're the ones who are going to do most of the damage. But as you can see, everything is perfectly fine. The damage is great. Everybody's over 1 million. Kind of crazy that for this one the healer was beating me in damage. I don't know what the healer was doing,
Target change.
but
Watch your
the
step.
healer was beating me. Wow, I just caught that. Anyways, there were a couple of times where I thought about using my Death's Touch on the shards, but I didn't want to complicate anything for the healer, so I decided to just let the DPS take care of them. And I'll try to toss out a healer too whenever I need to. Just making sure that nobody gets killed or anything. So far everything's pretty good. We're doing great. The boss is going down.
Defensive. Target change. Watch your step.
Here I'm just randomly attacking one of these just so I can get some damage out. But there the shaman dies because we popped the shard and he took too much damage.
Defensive.
Here the warrior again is in
Target
danger.
change.
And it's because you kill too many of these in such a short amount of time and it's a problem. Here I'm just trying to single target that one just so nobody gets killed. The healer is really low in mana, so it's like the warrior died because somebody killed the shard, or the shard detonated next to Skarmorak. And by this point I'm thinking the healer is low in mana, The warrior just died again 2 times in a row. I don't know if we're gonna be able to pop this shell to make it into the final phase. I'm trying to pump out heals. This druid was crazy. He was pretty good. So here we're on our last stretch. If we can get him down before we go into the next shell phase, we should be okay.
Defensive. Target changed. Watch your step.
This one I kind of regret using my Death's Touch on one of the shards because it definitely would have came in handy here. But somehow we're still a minute and 31 seconds ahead of time, so I was surprised.
You should be able to take a main cart
Definitely
back
letting
to
them know like we can continue this, we got this, we can time this. There the druid is drinking, but I have enough defensive so that he doesn't have to worry about me. And we all have our interrupts up so we can continue chain pulling. Here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pull the next pack with the loader as soon as the mender in this pack dies.
Watch your
Just
step.
because the mender does a lot of damage. So as soon as I see that this one's about to die, like I can go pull the next pack. So that's normally how you want to chain things. As soon as the caster is dead and everything else is about 50%ish, you can keep pulling the next pack as long as you keep an eye on the healer's mana. Here I pull him up the stairs just so that the healer can keep healing me. I don't want to LOS the healer. My main worry here is the lava cannon. Thankfully he shot the lava cannon backwards, so we were fine. Didn't have to worry too much about anything. And here I was going to pull just the mender pack, but I decided to pull everything else. Here you hide in this little corner here again to line of sight the casters and to make sure that everything just pulls into one spot. I used my fortifying brew and then immediately into weapons of order to just pump out some more damage. And that's why kind of why you put them in that corner there. So you want a ring of peace because those forge hands and the speakers, they can hit you and increase the damage you take. Here everything just pulled. Luckily I have my ox statue down, so it aggroed everything onto that. If not, it would have probably killed someone. Imagine having 6 of those mobs pummel you at the same time. It would have been crazy. These you kind of want to kite just because the debuff that they can cast on you can
Watch your step.
erase you immediately. You don't want to take too many of those hits. And this is the first little tip over here. You don't need to do those 2 loaders. You just jump over the stairs and you're good to go. Here, I pull this pack. I know that there's a buff that you can get in the corner there where the furnace is at, but we didn't have anybody for that. I just decided to pull everything into me just because they were coming. I didn't want anybody to randomly get aggro. There I did leg sweep
Interrupt.
into Ring of Peace just to make sure that I didn't get hit by any of these forge hands or the speakers because a lot of their debuffs make me take a lot more damage. As soon as the mender dies, I'm thinking of going to the next pack, so I'm trying to Tiger's Lust so that I can move. It's harder to chain pull when the casters are up, just because they start to attack everyone else in your group, and you know, it gets a little bit annoying. So as soon as we kill these, the druid starts to ask, like, are we gonna go for the buff? And I'm not gonna sit there for like 10 seconds trying to figure out if we are. Nobody said anything, so we're not gonna go for it. So I just ping them to just continue going. The druid asked for the buff. I tell him that maybe there's no one there to do it. So we can just keep going. It's a waste of time to try to figure it out or for somebody to try to go over there. The buff is really good, but if we don't have anybody for it, it's pointless to wait for it. So I asked if anybody can get it, and nobody answered. So I just assumed that nobody could get it. So we can keep going. Also, my minimap got bugged in this run, I can see. I couldn't see anything. It was a bit annoying.
Machine speakers in the Stonevault. Fanatically loyal, no doubt.
Today I'm just waiting for the druid. Just checking his mana. And I decided to just go in. So, the first thing I'll do is I'll tank it here by one of these grates. Just because it's easier to avoid the lava cannon, and once he does that AoE, one of my DPS can interrupt, and then I immediately taunt it so that it runs into me. So the closer we are to Brokk, the better it is.
Defensive.
As you see right now, I ping where the open vent is,
Event.
so that everybody can kind of pile up there.
Interrupt 1.
There, the shaman luckily got that interrupt. I think he has a ranged interrupt. Okay, so here's the next thing you want to do. So I have my chi burst. I'm holding it up onto
Which way?
when I see he's going to break the box. I hit it a little bit early there, but if you hold on to it, you saw how much healing it does. It does roughly about 1 million healing. So
Watch your
you kind of want to help the healer by holding on to it, especially since we're all melee DPS, we're all kind of stacked. So it's easier for the chi burst to hit everyone for healing. 1 million healing is definitely a bit of a help for the healer, especially in something like this.
defensive. Watch your find clear vent. Interrupt 2. Defensive.
Celestial Brew really coming in clutch here, the Purifying Brew.
Which way? Interrupt 1. Defensive. Find clear vent. Watch your
The lava cannon here almost got me if I didn't pay attention.
edge of road. Defensive.
And again here, I don't have my chi burst, so
Interrupt 2.
I'm just kind of hoping that
Watch your
we can make it through here. I know I have my death touch here, so whoever dies first, I know the next one I can kind of just instantly execute. So here I'm just waiting to see who dies, but they all pretty much died together. And here's the next little tip. So you see the cart there? I'm pinging them not to go there because I saw that the loader was about to patrol back. But you can paralyze the forge hand that's there in the corner, and then you can have everybody sneak into the cart. It'll probably save you about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. But in runs like this, you know, like, everything counts. There, I'm kind of telling everybody to hurry up. I was a bit nervous because we only had about 11 minutes, so I'm thinking we're going to take 5 to 6 minutes to clear the trash, and then we can spend the rest of the time on the boss. Here we got lucky because they charge right into the next hallway. So now that they're here in this next hallway, you can pull that big mob that's patrolling there, and you can kite it, you can tank it with these two guards, and it makes it a lot easier. Here I'm trying to contemplate whether or not to do it or not. So as soon as he turns around, I just pull it. It's either now or never, but trying to tank it as far away from the other mobs just so that nothing gets pulled into it.
back.
So I'm just trying to make sure that nothing
Charging.
or no one gets hit by any of these AoE rocks or by the charges. Especially considering the fact that we're all melee. Now here, I kind of messed up on this pull because I was supposed to paralyze that mender and then pull everything else. But what you want to do is you want to paralyze the mender that's on the opposite side of the pull. So if I would have paralyzed the mender that was on the other side, everything would have pulled to me and that one would have been paralyzed. It just makes it easier so that you don't have like one extra caster just like shooting bolts at anyone. But everybody here was on top of their stuff, so it didn't really make much of a difference. As you see right here, like I know that these menders are almost dead, so I pulled the next part. Interrupt that one to try to get it to drag into mine, but He was knocked up, so it kind of failed.
Attack totem. Charging. Move.
It's a bit rough because I need to kind of gather all of these so that we can take care of them, and it's really not happening. Here we kind of messed up, as you can see. Everybody has their interrupt up, and nobody's interrupting anything. So everybody interrupts there towards the end, but it's a little bit too late, I guess. And now here, you're gonna see something that it was no one's fault. It just happened. So I pulled this next pack here. My thought is that I'm going to interrupt this one, but the pet, the pet ran in and pulled the next couple of mobs. So at this point, I'm just like, you know what? It's fine. We all died. Let's just reset it, and we should still have time. We have about 7 minutes left. We can do this, right? And everybody's on the same page. So we reset. We're trying to get there as fast as we can. Tiger's lusting the warrior because the warrior clearly has no mobility. And in my mind, the entire time I'm thinking, it's like, we have 7 minutes. We still have to clear 2 packs of trash and the boss. So I'm calculating that the boss shouldn't take us more than like 3 minutes and 30 seconds or something with the DPS that we have. So here, ring a piece, knock them to the side, aggro them, interrupt this one so it pulls into you, and then just tank everybody by this wall here. It makes it a lot easier because nobody is going to pull anything on the other side, and if you get knocked back, you can get knocked back into the wall. For this eruption here, everybody can just kind of walk away. Everything's fine. But I'm pretty sure everybody was kind of panicking because at this point we have 14 deaths. So 14 deaths is close to about, I don't know, 2 minutes and something, probably.
Knocking back.
No, it's actually closer to 3 minutes and something. So we probably would have timed it a lot better if we didn't have those 14 deaths. But it's fine. It's fine. Just execute that one and pull the next one. Just trying to waste no time with this at all.
Attack totem. Knocking back. Attack totem. Watch your step.
I'm just trying to make sure that we don't wipe here. If we don't get that totem down, it goes off and we're all dead. So yeah. So I'm paying attention to the health. I noticed that the casters are gonna go down, and the smasher is gonna be the only one that's left. So I know that a lot of people who do 15s, they pull one pack with the boss, and it makes sense, I guess. But I'm telling them that I'm pulling the boss at 10%. So 10% is within execute range, I guess. So by the time I pull the boss, it's pretty much dead. And we lust immediately, and we get a lot of good damage on them. My chi burst there healing for 800k plus. This boss, I feel like it's not that hard. What you don't want to do is you don't want to take, or you don't want to take any of the first portals. You should leave those for the DPS and the healer. You're a tank, so you should be able to take up, handle a lot of the damage. So just wait for the next set of portals to pop up. So just let the first set of portals be taken by the DPS and the healer. As you'll see right now, I kind of hang on to my debuff for a little bit in this next wave. So I just run to this swirly because I know there's going to be a portal there. And the warrior died. I'm not sure how the warrior died. Probably got hit by this, taking a lot of damage. The druid is just like at this point. I feel poor guy. Like he must have had a hard time healing this dungeon. Okay, so this one I hold it here. I see that the DPS is going for that one, so I'm just holding on to it so I can get to this one. DPS takes it, so I'm like, it's fine. I'll just wait around for the next one, and that one spawns in the middle of everything over here.
Safe now.
I'm out of range.
Gruntle.
And this is pretty much it. We're down to about the last 25%. We have about a minute 40 left. We're doing enough damage. DPS is doing enough damage to take it out, so I'm not too worried. By this point, the only thing that can mess us up is if we wipe. I know we're not gonna wipe because we're all doing pretty good.
Gruntle.
It's too far away.
And after about 8-9 runs of this, I finally managed to get it killed. And who would have thought it would be with
Despoiler Wipe.
a group of all melee? I've done this with casters, I've done this with an Aug Evoker, and nothing. We normally don't have the DPS for this, and here, everybody was just too good.
Safe now.
Now look at that. Minute and 4 seconds left. And that's Stonevault 12. Now I'm up to 2940. I just need 60 more points so I can get 3000 as a Pugger. There's my damage and my healing meters. Big props to the DPS and the healers. They did amazing. I'm doing a lot more damage. Normally I'd be at around 600k. Now I'm at 825k. And this is why I love Master of Harmony. Celestial Brew absorbed 236 million damage. It shows that you can be self-sufficient with damage mitigation, which you kind of need a lot of for these bugs. But anyways, see you for the next one. Hopefully it's 13. I know I have Necrotic Wake still left for my 12s, but who knows. Catch you in the next one.